南无本师释迦牟尼佛。
南无本师释迦牟尼佛。
释迦牟尼佛。
南无本师释迦牟尼佛。
南无本师释迦牟尼佛。
释迦牟尼佛。
南无本师释迦牟尼佛。
南无本师释迦牟尼佛。
Okay, so we say hi to each other. Hello. Okay, class, let's take a look. We are in the verse number 174. Okay, just to remind you all, basically, we are in the great vehicle. Then we are still in the scope of the 6 pyramid. We already finished the first 5 pyramid. We are in the last pyramid. So once we talk about the prajna, okay, so basically in a very early stage, we mentioned that in the great vehicle, the prajna, where we begin by reading or learning. So once we get some knowledge through the reading and learning, then we'll try to cultivate it, we try to develop it. Okay, so this is the sources, and most of the minor texts mention that the way you get the wisdom is through chanting, okay, through reading, through copying, or all this type of stuff, maybe through bowing, all this. So, but after after the definition of the prajna, we go to the certain stage. So now there's 3 ways to establish, to explain how is the karma established. How is the karma established? So number 1 is the Madhyamaka. So Madhyamaka, basically they are the school emphasize on the emptiness. Okay, meaning to say that no matter what, even though the karma itself, they are all based on the emptiness, or they are also based on the condition, and nothing is fixed. Even though, no matter you are Buddha or not, whether you are Buddha or you are in the woeful state, there is no it is subject to change. Once the karma is if you decide to change and you start to accumulate the karma, and all your bad karma, they won't be permanently influence you. Once you start to create a good karma, so the things will happen in this way. Okay. All right. So next we go to the next one. Today, in the previous lesson, we are in the paragraph number 173. So let's take a look. Discrimination, you see, well, okay. I remember once we are in a great vehicle, basically the terminology we use is a little bit different. In the Nikaya and in Abhidhamma, we used to say, oh, there is avijja, so there's ignorance and there's attachment. All these are they are a cause to make to make us to reincarnate. There's a reincarnation. But in Mahayana, the terminology uses is different. You remember that we talk about that before. The confusions, okay, we can cause a reincarnation, and then there's one nonsense speech. Let's see, let's see first. Can you name me all the terminologies which is quite equivalent to the ignorance, but you couldn't understand it through the Cambridge dictionary? Do you remember the terminologies besides confusion? Can you remember? There are a few words we feel very awkward one, but we realize that we cannot use a Cambridge dictionary to define it. Do you remember? One is a nonsense speech, right? Something like that, right?
Confusion.
Okay. What else?
Confusion, yeah, one of them.
One more confusion, and one more. How about? Do you remember what else the words are using it? Okay, one is an inherent nature. Okay, the inherent nature will cause the reincarnation, and one more. What else do you remember, class? Let's see. Okay, we don't really get it. Okay. Yeah, meaningless elaboration. Class, let's take a look. It's in front 173. Okay, so remember that. Meaningless elaborations, confusion, all this. Okay, now we go to the next one. Okay, now we go to the number 174. Okay, yeah, Sally, your turn to read, please.
Relying on the right understanding of emptiness, investigating and dwell in tranquility, with cessation and contemplation complementing each other, one can skillfully enter calmness and extinction. In order to cultivate prajna and to be in accord with reality, one must first profoundly and carefully come to the decision that everything exists through conventional destination and is without inherent nature. Then one can attain the firm right understanding and that sees no conflict between non-existence and existence. Both the existence of conventional destination and emptiness and the non-existence of an inherent nature are complementary and do not contradict each other. Thus it is said, the appearance of existence is fundamentally empty. Fundamental emptiness is the appearance of existence. To cultivate the wisdom that comes from listening and thinking means to have a profound understanding that there is no inherent nature. It does not mean annihilating all that exists through the mundane dependent origination. Following the sequence of cessation and contemplation to attain direct realization, if one has not yet attained a meditative mind, one's intentive mind still investigates with discrimination. If when practicing cessation, one has attained light bliss and achieved right concentration, then one can use the right understanding of empty nature, which does not contradict conventional existence, to practice contemplation. This contemplation relies on concentration to enter the stage of cultivating wisdom. One then takes emptiness, the non-existence of an inherent nature, as one's object of focus and investigation. This is called differentiating with respect to the image. After investigating the image for a long time, one then practices calm abiding with emptiness as one's object of focus. Such concentration is called non-differentiating with respect to the image. This non-discrimination without additional investigation. Having abide calmly, one can then practice investigation again. This practice of mixing cessation and contemplation consistently take emptiness, the non-existence of an inherent nature, as its object of focus.
Okay, thank you so much. Oh.
Okay.
Sally, finish? Okay, okay, class. I think by just reading, you will get a little bit confused. The reason is basically what you read from all the texts is a Mahayana way to explain the samatha and vipassana. Okay, class, remember there's two words. One is a cessation. Cessation actually means samatha. Okay, second is a contemplation. Contemplation is the vipassana. Okay, please take note now. If you don't take note now, you will be confused by them. Because the translator, he referred to the Chinese to do a translation, and the Chinese is translated from the Sanskrit. So there will be two. I mean, there will be a gap from the Sanskrit to the classical Chinese, and from classical Chinese to English. There will be two gaps. So actually, the whole text mentioned what? It mentioned that the cessation, samatha and the vipassana, they can complement to each other. This is the what are the texts keep on mentioning. So what does that mean? Meaning to say practically, we can begin do the samatha in the first place. Okay, class, always remember the meaning of the samatha, because it keep on mentioned remember, Sally, just now once you read about investigation, right? The words investigation appeared quite many times, differentiation appears many times. So remember here, please highlight the words. One said that there's a differentiation and the investigation, meaning to say it is vipassana. Because in Mahayana, when you talk about especially in this, this is the words which is used by the school of the Yogacara, the wisdom, what they mention, they will use the investigation and also this differentiation to show that it's a vipassana. Because through the vipassana, we have to differentiate the elements of the earth, air, 地水火风, earth, water, fire, all these elements. So by investigate all these elements, you have to check out from the true body. So we call it as a differentiation, or we call it as an investigation. Okay, and so from here the text mentioned, you see, in the very beginning, you have to do the samatha in the first place. When you do the samatha, meaning to say that you don't do any differentiation or investigation. You just put your mind in your breath. So you calm down your mind. That's a cessation. Once for a certain time of period, so you just change. You have to do the investigation. Meaning to say that you don't just concentrate on the breath, but you go to concentrate throughout the whole body, the nama rupa. So that at that stage you are in the contemplation. So there will be the nama and rupa, the complement each other. See or not? Okay, so next is what is this? Let's take a look. Let me check first. See, so this is the terminology we encounter. You see, number one, rely on the right understanding of the emptiness. Class for this Mahayana is the same with Theravada. You need to say that we have to begin with learning. In Theravada, okay. The Dharma knowledge is so important for Vipassana. What is it? Mr. Leong?
Sorry, Sifu, what's the question again?
What is the knowledge of the Dharma is essential in doing the Vipassana in Theravada?
Oh, the three characteristics.
Besides?
The dependent origination.
Then one more, two more. One is
Four Noble Truths.
Then
in the normal Eightfold Path.
Yes, you see in that class for Theravada, not Theravada is the school of thought. Basically, for most of the school of thought, you have to possess all this knowledge, and then from the knowledge and transfer to the experience. In Mahayana, same. But in Mahayana, they don't use this terminology. But they use the different one. You still have to know that. So this is why, you see, according to the Mahayana, you also mentioned that you must have a right understanding of the emptiness. So that is the replacement for the all noble truth, eight noble path in Mahayana. You see, we are still in cultivating the prajna. So remember that, you see, just now I mentioned cessation, contemplation, complementing each other. Mr. Leong, is cessation and contemplation used in Theravada, this two words, as the replacement of samatha vipassana? Do they use it, Mr. Leong? On the mic, please. Mr. Leong, please on the mic.
They use investigation.
How about the cessation and contemplation? Do they use it in Theravada? No, right?
Yes, they use the word contemplation, but cessation, they use it differently.
Okay, so meaning to say half lah. Okay, so meaning to say it is a half thing lah. Okay, let's take a look. You see how number one, as a conventional destination is without inherent nature. One thing to always remember, inherent nature, meaning to say it's just like a avicca. Inherent nature, all right, okay. Inherent nature, confusion, all these are meaning to say you are in the ignorance. Okay, the next, let's take a look. You see, to cultivate the wisdom, you have to begin with the listening and the thinking. Listening and thinking. So for this, this is still not a very good word. This is here. Okay, class, I prefer use this because the thinking are not that correct. Please write the Pali terms here. Okay. Struta Mayi Prashna, Chitta Mayani Prashna, and Bhavana Mayani Prashna. Please write this three. So Chitta Mayani, not really thinking, you know. The translation not that good. So please write down Struta Mayi Prashna. Second is the Chitta Mayani Prashna. One more is the Bhavana Mayi Prashna. So Bhavana Mayi Prashna is cultivation. Sometimes they translate the Bhavana. So Bhavana is the stage to transform the knowledge to the experience. Struta Mayi is you just try to learn the Dharma verbally, okay, or verbally, okay, or through the reading by yourself, okay, or listen from the Shakyamuni. Then the Chitta Mayani is the process in between from Struta Mayi to Bhavana Mayi Prashna, okay. Okay, have you copied down? Yes, sir. Okay, let's see. This dictionary. Let's see. Is any good English word provide to you or not? Buddhist door. Got lah. Let's check for it. Okay, let's see. Okay, hearing the Buddha's teaching. Number one, okay, give it deep consideration. Okay. Give it deep consideration. It is a thinking. Class, is it the same? Deep consideration, it is a thinking. You try to think for it. It's the thinking is the same. Okay, so we need to say both translation still mention you try to think and use your brain to think. Okay, but the last one will be the same, practicing it. So this is the Bhavana. See or not? Okay, sorry. Okay, so we need to say Buddhist law also translate as a deep consideration. Okay, but for this deep consideration, you just bear in mind that this is not the best definition. Okay, this is not the best one. Okay, I would like to put an example. If let's say you go to practice the 4-element meditation, so before the meditation, your Sayadaw will tell you that, okay, please observe the earth elements. So how to observe the earth element? So we tell you that, please, you have to understand the characteristic of the earth element. Number one is the heart. Okay, so class, can you just try to bite your teeth to each other? Okay, can you bite? Okay, do you feel the elements of the heart, right? Because once there's a rubbing between the teeth, will be the heart, right? Okay, can you please close your eyes now? Just now go to check whether the feeling of the binding of the heart, the hardness is all your face. Please try now. Close your eye, try to find it. If you get it, please throw your hand. You never got it already, okay? Yes. Okay, Sally also got it. Okay, Mr. Leong got it. Okay. So second is about the soft. Okay, class, you please use your thumb. Try to rub your hand. Do you feel there's a softness? You feel the soft, right? Okay, so please close your eye. Go to feel the soft through your face. If you find it, please prop your hand. No, don't rub it. Use your mind to check it out. Don't rub it. Close your eye. Okay, got ready. Elena got the soft ready. How about Sally? Mrs. Leong got it ready. Okay, Sally is sleeping already. Okay, so class, okay, you see, during the meditation class, once you really go to the retreat, okay, we are telling you the characteristic of the heart. So actually, this is number one. You are learning to the Dharma. Okay, so when you go to check, actually, just now the process is considered the second one. Actually, once you go to check, it's considered Bhavana Mayi Prashna already. Okay, but you notice that what I mentioned to you that you try to go to find it, so there will be there will be some middle stage in between from knowledge to the experience, so that we call it in the middle as the second one, which is this. Let's take a look. This one. Cintamani or Cintamani. But here is translated as a consideration or thinking. But just now you don't think, right? Class, am I right? Once you try to find the heart and the softness in your body, you don't go to think one. So that's why I say the definition sometimes is something wrong already. The Cintamani, if you translate like thinking, it's not that accurate actually. Okay, next, let's take a look. So this is the Bhavana. Okay. Then next, you see here, one can use the right understanding of empty nature. See, this contemplation relies on concentration to enter the stage of cultivating the wisdom. So that's the meaning I mentioned just now. Okay, differentiating with respect to the image. Oh, I think, okay. Okay, class, this is from the Mahayana text also. Okay, I think maybe you will confuse differentiating with the image. Class, please ignore the words of the image. Okay, because the image itself will make you confused. Actually, the image means the subject, you see. So you see how differentiating respect to the image, meaning to say you try to differentiate an object. Okay, then after you differentiate it, then you come a binding with emptiness with the object of focus, meaning to say that you do the vipassana, then you do the samatha. Okay, so that is the real meaning for it. Okay, this practice of the mixing, cessation, and contemplation consistently take emptiness, you see. So this is the mixture. So sometimes you do the samatha, then you do the vipassana. Then from vipassana, you go to the samatha. So that's the meaning here. Okay. So next paragraph. Elena, your turn to read. When the contemplative mind.
When the contemplative mind is skillful. It abides calmly, clearly, and purely, like the clear sky without any hazy clouds. At that time, all things are directed towards emptiness. Contemplating all appearances of things, one sees nothing for the emotions to dwell on. Everything is just like wisps of smoke. When the practice of contemplation is nearly accomplished, one should lessen one's effort. Only when like bliss arises again from the power of contemplation can it be said that one has accomplished the practice of contemplation. Therefore, after cessation and contemplation complement each other, and this is called the cooperation of cessation and contemplation. With the wisdom that comes from contemplation of non-discrimination, the abiding mind of non-discrimination can arise. This abiding mind, in turn, brings forth the wisdom of non-discrimination. When cessation and contemplation are in equilibrium, the power of contemplation is profound and thorough. In the end, even the form of emptiness disintegrates and disappears, and one can skillfully enter the calmness and extinction of non-arising nature of things. Then prajna, non-discriminating wisdom, comes forth. Prajna paramita can extinguish all deviant views, afflictions, and meaningless elaborations, and can lead to fundamental emptiness. It is also said, the eye of wisdom sees nothing at all. The doctrine of mere consciousness also says that the true realization of the way is separate from all forms. The wisdom that comes from fundamental emptiness, the wisdom that enables common person to become a sage, was also known to the Indian Mahayana scholars. It is so superior that it cannot be compared with the skillful means that have been proposed in the later days of the Dharma for the purpose of integrating everything. For such proposals do not emphasize the important points.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay. Finish highlighting, Sally. Okay. Okay. Okay, class. Here there's a few terminology. Once you make things clear, it will not be that confusing. Okay. So number one, class, let's take a look for this. Basically, in Mahayana, once we talk about the Prajna Paramita, Mahayana text, it means also what? It means also the wisdom of a non-discrimination. Okay, so always remember that once we talk about the wisdom of a non-discrimination, basically, if let's say we use the pagoda as an example, the knowledge of the non-discrimination is about reach the top of the pagoda already. Okay, so this pagoda actually is for Visuddhimagga. This is the Sila. This is the Samadhi. This is the Prajna. So basically, in Mahayana text, we don't use the word Nibbana. We don't use it, but we use the wisdom of a non-discrimination. In Mandarin, we call it 无分别啦. Have you heard about that? Basically, if you're in Mahayana temple, they always say, "Oh, 我们要无分别哦." How come the words 无分别 is from Mahayana text? 无分别 means a non-discrimination is some sort of a nibbana already, the wisdom of it. And according to here, he said, if you got the wisdom of the Prajna Paramita, let's take a look. If you got the wisdom of Prajna Paramita, you see, you can extinguish deviate view, affliction, meaningless elaboration. So this all three things is about the same thing only. Especially the meaningless elaboration. This one is just like a confusion. They are the replacement for the ignorance actually. And one more, inherent nature. This is all the same thing. All means what? Ignorance, avijja. So they are the one who block us from the emptiness. So the emptiness, Prajna Paramita, non-discriminative, they are all the same. Okay, class, I would like to emphasize a little bit that actually, this is a general text. It doesn't show us the skills how to do, how to really practice the samatha vipassana. Here it just mentioned to us that sometimes we do the samatha, sometimes we do the vipassana. So it will complement each other. Before and once it complements each other, later on, finally the destination will be the non-discriminative wisdom, the wisdom of non-discrimination. That is the final things, you see. So in between now, both have to reach to the stage of the equilibrium. It have to be equilibrium. But technically, how to say I quite hard to tell you. Just theoretically, we know. Oh, sometimes we do samatha, sometimes we do vipassana, and sometimes they will be equilibrium. They will be reached. So in certain stages, you just do nothing. Because it goes smooth already. So it just needs time to go further. You just do nothing. Once the engine start already, so we just let it go through by itself. It's just like, I think maybe like Elena, like you do the investment. Okay, once you decide which share you want to buy, you buy already. So no need to bother it already because it really takes time for the company to generate the income and then come up with the profit. You see or not? So when you decide already, it's the same. Once you start already the skills, you really need the time to let it to generate by itself until it become mature. So at that stage, just do nothing. So you see here is the text mentioned. This paragraph mentioned this. You see. Let's take a look. See. Now you see, it's nearly accomplished. One should lessen one effort. You see, nearly accomplished because if you put effort some more, they will be too strong already. About accomplished, just less effort. So let it become mature by itself. Okay. Okay, next, let's take a look. You see, here we talk about the wisdom of non-discrimination and the equilibrium, all these things, you see. Okay, can you check for me the reference number 79? Prajna Paramita eradicate all these things.
C479 is DJ, a DZ.
A DZ means task turun, right? Maha
Yes.
Prajna Potessa, something like that, right? Maha Prajna Paramita Potessa. Okay, DZ. So this is quite famous. So a class you have to, I just don't know. I think better preferably how you try to remember the Sanskrit better than this English. But can you, I think you won't confuse, right? You all look smart, like you won't confuse. So you know, oh, the way the Buddhahood, they use this terminology. Then in Pali, they use that terminology. I think you are smart enough to make yourself non-confused. Am I right, Mr. Leong? You're smart enough, am I right?
Smart, but no, without wisdom.
quite hard to answer. If you say don't smart, not good. If you say smart, also not good. But I assume you're okay because your all English standard is good. You won't confuse yourself. Okay. Never mind. Also, we just roughly know this. You see. Okay. One more because I can very hard to find the English act. People go to learn the Mahayana text. This is the Mahayana text. Mahayana text not the text you do the chanting no Mahayana text actually can be the the mere conscious, the school of the mere consciousness. It could be the Mahaprajna Paramita. There were so many schools, you know. So that is the Mahayana we mentioned. You see, okay. Then, all right, you see, the eye of wisdom see nothing at all. You see, when you got the wisdom, you see nothing, meaning to say you're in the non-discrimination wisdom. You see, okay. Here, there one more word appeared: the doctrine of the mere consciousness. Have I ever mentioned to you before? The doctrine of the mere consciousness is this. The Pali is this. Yogacara. Have I ever mentioned to you that Yogacara is the doctrine of the mere consciousness? You see, this is emphasize the study of cognition, perception, and consciousness through the interior lens of meditative and the yogic practice. Okay, please write down the doctrine of the mere consciousness is the Yogacara. Let me show you a better words. Okay, Yogacara. The doctrine of the mere consciousness, the Sanskrit, please write. Vijnana Vata, please write now. The doctrine of the mere consciousness. Okay, and then I want to look for here. Check whether can I get a better English words or not. Okay, class, is the doctrine mere consciousness means anything for you? Does it make any sense for you? The doctrine of the mere consciousness, does this make any sense for you? It doesn't make any sense. Oh, okay. Class, the doctrine of mere consciousness, meaning to say that this school tried to, through their experience, they noticed that everything, everything is appeared from your mind, even including the material. They are from the consciousness. So they said there's only mere consciousness while you're enlightened. You know that you will notice that there's only mere consciousness only. Everything is created by your mind. So that is the doctrine of the mere consciousness. Okay, let me check. 唯识中 Okay, let's take a look. The discourse of the theory of the consciousness only. Yes. Okay, what does that mean? Let's see here. It's the 30 verses of consciousness only by Vasu Pandu. Addicted. Okay, let's see here. Yeah, same, brother. No. Okay, class, let's take a look. Yes, it's a consciousness only. Consciousness only, or we call it as a mere consciousness. Why I mentioned this? Let's take a look. You see the doctrine of the mere consciousness. Okay, according to them, they also mentioned that the true realization, mean the Nibbana, is the way is separate from all the form. Meaning to say that once all the form you separate from all the form, then you will attain the true realizations. Okay. Okay,